Thank you. Courage. It takes a lot of courage to get up here and speak. It takes a lot of courage to live your life. And it takes even more courage to do the right thing. Going back as a child, everybody looked at me and said, oh, she's so lucky. She lives in a big mansion. Her grandma's rich. She gets whatever she wants. Life's easy. But it wasn't so easy for me. I was molested from the age of 2 into my teen years. That was the hardest thing I've ever had to live through. I didn't have courage to stand up to it. Instead, I let my parents and every other adult dictate how I was going to go on with my life. Now, we couldn't go public because that would ruin the image of the people in my family, being in the media. And so it was swept under the rug, like most abuse is, the elephant in the room, the stigma. And so life went on. And my mom grew this vengeance for me. Was it because her husband molested me? I don't know. All I do know is that her hatred for me grew so much that by the time I was 13, I left home and ended up living with my stepfather who molested me. So to stay from being molested again, I just started partying because that would keep me away from being home. So by 14, I was a full-fledged alcoholic, started doing drugs, was promiscuous, dropped out of school at 14. I had no idea what I was going to do with my life. Joined the carnival, moved to San Francisco. I mean, many stories of what I was doing, but really I was just running away from my problems, my truths. I married a man because I thought he loved me. And that's all I ever wanted from a child, was to be loved. I met this guy, and 31 days later, we were married. Our addiction spiraled out of control to the point that I didn't even know who I was when I looked in the mirror. My children did not like me. I didn't like me. Nobody liked me at the time. And something needed to change. Tried to get sober. Then Friday would come, I'd party. And Sunday would come, I'd try to get sober. It kept going and going and going until my brother-in-law and I got into a big fight. And hurt people hurt people. You know, talking behind someone's back or judging someone. When you do these things, it's because you're hurting inside. And I was so hurt because I couldn't tell my secrets because I was afraid of what people would think of me. And so my brother-in-law and I got in a fight, and I said, you need to get out of my house. I'm trying to get sober. That's it, day one. I'm not gonna party anymore. And he wouldn't leave unless I gave him money. Hurt people, right? And I threw a $100 bill at his face, and I said, why don't you go overdose? And 6 days later, he did. That was my breaking point, that something needed to change. It still took me a couple of months. October 16th, 2016 is my birthday. It's the day I got sober. I have now been sober 22 months. My children have a little bit more respect for me, but we have a ways to go. But what really changed my life was standing on a stage in front of a group of people and saying, I'm a survivor. And not one person looked at me with disgust in their eyes. But nobody knew who this person was. So I took it one step farther, and I went public on Facebook, on my blog, on stages, that it was my father, my stepfather. And when I did that, more people came out. I wasn't the only one. I was completely speechless. Here I thought that this was my story, but it was other people's story too. How am I gonna stop this? So I pressed charges. The sad thing is that not everybody is willing to talk about sexual abuse. And because of that, my stepfather walks free because not one person will stand up and speak out on this case. I refuse to allow it to happen anymore. So I speak about it. And I tell everybody about it. And I help other people stand on their story and come out and say, I too am a survivor. That I too deserve a right to be free. Since coming out, I've lost my family. Kind of funny how, everybody needs to pick a side. And sometimes it's easier for everybody to keep sweeping it under the rug. So when I got sober and I came out about my story, my brother passed away. And my mom decided to do everything in her power to make sure that I wasn't a part of my brother's life. He was in the hospital for 24 hours. I didn't get to see him until an hour after he passed away. It was at that moment that I decided that I needed to go forward in my life alone. And if anybody was going to come with me, they were going to have the same values as me. And so I ditched my family, I moved, I changed my life, and I started a tribe. Alexis, I met her at the TMC. She too is a part of my tribe. Nobody can do this without a following of people that are going to support you. And not everybody has a very sad story like mine, but if we all band together with our stories, it becomes powerful, it becomes a movement. So I came out with this hashtag and it was fuck shame. And the minute I came out and did that, I started owning everything about myself. I used to party and leave my kids at home. I was an addict. I made these choices because I didn't feel good about myself. So now that I've let it all out, nobody else can put it back in my face. And if you do, it doesn't bother me because I've already said it. So now it's been 22 months. I'm sober, off drugs. Kids are doing better. Have no idea what my parents are doing. I have no idea. I have not talked to them. I'm a published author. I'm a business owner. I'm a public speaker and an all-around badass. And I really think that we need to start talking about childhood sexual abuse in the same context that we talk about child car seat safety. Why do we talk about buckling our kids up, but we don't talk about the right and wrong for adults and children and what is okay for touching? And when we bring our children out, we don't teach them what is right and wrong. I never had that. And because of that, I kept all my secrets to myself. And so now I tell my children, and I tell my children the same thing when they're seeing someone get bullied at school. You don't know their story. I was bullied at school for crying all the time. I cried all the time because my mom beat me all the time. You don't know what happens behind closed doors. So instead of being mean to someone, why not reach a hand out and say, can I help you? And that's what I'm here for, to change the world. Because I think if we all stand on our story and hold each other's hand through it, we'll make this world a better place. Because everybody has a reason to be here. And if I can come from there to here, anybody can do it. Thank you.